It's going. Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to the Philadelphia Assembly. Today is the 17th day of the 6th month of the year 5779. So it's not much more time. We'll be looking towards the Feast of Trumpets, Yom Terim in Hebrew. So also known as the Day of Trumpets, but if you look it up, it also can mean the Day of Shouting. Important to understand that, and we're looking forward to the 7th month and Feast of Tabernacles and Day of Atonement, all those things that we're going to be celebrating. So, but today we're going to continue the expository teaching in the book of Joshua. In Hebrew it would be Yehshua or Yahshua in that sense. So that's where we are. We're going to be in chapter 11, and we're going to go till we get about an hour down. So and do that expository teaching. Before we get started, I'm going to turn towards the east, towards Jerusalem, again where the temple was and where the temple will be again, as prophesied, and we'll open in prayer. Also, just want to let people know that I did go to a specialist this last week, a cardiologist at Northwestern. And I'm going to be going on Friday. I'll be getting a heart catheterization or an angiogram to further look inside my heart and see what's going on. So any prayers would be appreciated. Okay? So let's again towards the east. Heavenly Father, we just thank you so much for this Sabbath day, for the knowledge thereof. We ask that your blessing be upon each one that are keeping this day, and Father, to the hearts of those that are thinking about it. Father, we ask that there would be more people who seek to keep your commandments, Father, and the Sabbath being one of those commandments. And a key commandment, a sign of who we are as part of Israel. We ask that your blessing again be upon all those that are listening or attending fellowships wherever. We ask that your Ruach HaKodesh, your Holy Spirit, be upon each of us today, Father, as we go to your word. We ask that you would teach us all things and help us to better understand what's going on. We ask that you would convict hearts to keep, again, your commandments. Again, we ask all these things in your precious Son, Yehshua, or Jesus' name. Amen. Okay. Chapter 11. Book of Joshua, or Yeshua. Chapter 11, verse 1. This is part 3 of the expository teaching, found on YouTube at Philadelphia Assemblies at YouTube. And it came to pass, when this word Jabin here would have been pronounced Jabin, king of Hazar, had heard those things, that he sent to Yobab, king of Madon, and to the king of Shimron, and the king of Achasaph, and to the kings that were on the north of the mountains of the plains south of Shinnereth. I struggle with some of these pronunciations. And in the valley, and in the borders of Dor on the west, and to the Canaanites on the east, and on the west, and to the Amorite and the Hittite and the Perizzite and the Jebusite in the mountains, and to the Havite under Hermon in the land of Mizpeh. Verse 4. And they went out, and they all and all their host. Okay, that means their army or the many of them with them, much people, even as the sand that is upon the sea, in a multitude, with horses and chariots very many. And when all these kings were met together, so they all came together as one force, they came and camped, says pitched in your King James, together at the waters of Merom to fight against Israel. So they were like a multitude, like Israel. There were a lot when they all came together, because it compared them to the sand upon the sea, in the same way that Israel is compared. So when these nations gathered together to battle against Israel, there were many. Verse 6. And anytime it says Lord in the King James, again, it's the tetragrammaton. And that word tetragrammaton simply means the 4 letters or caricatures, and they're consonants, okay? But in Paleo-Hebrew, or the oldest form of Hebrew, the consonants carried their vowel signs. So if you were translating that from Paleo-Hebrew, it would be Yahuwah. If you go from more modern Hebrew, it would be Yahweh or Jehovah, according to whether you use the 4 letters YHWH or YHVH. Okay, that's how you would get Jehovah. Okay, or even Jehovah. That would be the same thing. Again, this is literally talking about the Most High. And he said, again, unto Yehshua. Now, he personally didn't speak to Joshua, because no one ever heard his voice or saw his form at any time. But he used his messenger, okay, his spirit, his ruach, to speak to them. And he said, be not afraid because of them. For the morrow is about this time will I deliver them up, all slain before Israel. You shall hamstring their horses. It says hoe or whatever there in your King James, but it means to hamstring their horses and burn their chariots with fire. Now, again, thus saith the Lord, or thus saith the Most High. 7. So Yehshua came, and all the people of the war with him against them by the waters of Merom suddenly, and they fell upon them. And again, the tetragrammaton, doesn't matter about which way you pronounce the name, it's who it's speaking of, delivered them into the hand of Israel, who smote them and chased them, and unto great Zidon, and unto Misraphoth Maim. The I am on the end just shows it's plural. Not sure if I pronounced that correctly. And into the valley of Mizpah, eastward, and they smote them until, or smote again means struck or killed them, until they left them none remaining. Verse 9, and Yehshua, or Joshua, did unto them as the Most High, the 4 letters, that tetragrammaton, bade him. He hamstrung their horses and burnt their chariots with fire. And Yehshua at that time turned back and took Hazor and smote or killed the king thereof with the sword, for Hazor before time was the head of all those kingdoms. So even though they had many of those little different tribes or nations, this guy was kind of like a king of kings, okay, because he was king over all those different nations, as it just said. He was the head or the king of all those kingdoms. Verse 11, and they smote or killed all those people. Souls in this case is talking about your flesh. So it's talking about people here. It would have been a lot easier to have been translated. And they killed all the people that were therein with the edge of the sword, utterly destroying them. There was not any left to breathe. And he burnt Hazor with fire. So he set the place on fire, as he was commanded by the Most High. 12. And all the cities of those kings, and all the kings of them did Yehshua take, and smote them with the edge of the sword. And he utterly destroyed them, as Moshe, the servant of the Most High, the 4 letters that tetragrammaton commanded. But as for the cities that stood still in the strength, Israel burned none of them, except, save means to except, he burnt Hazor only. That did Yehshua burn, because that he was commanded just a minute ago in the first part of this chapter. Verse 14, and all the spoil of these cities and the cattle, the ben, this word children that's translated about 80 some odd percent of the time, should have been sons of Israel, okay, not children, because children's not gender specific. We talk about women, and we obviously know the women weren't at war, so you have to understand this word in Hebrew is ben, okay, which means sons. Okay, so that's where right there it says, and all the spoil of these cities and the cattle and the ben of Israel took for a prey unto them. The sons of Israel took a prey to them, but every man they smote with the edge of the sword, or killed with the sword, until they had destroyed them, neither left they any to breathe. That's what they were commanded to do. And I hear a lot of people talk, oh, well, that's why we do this today. There's a big difference between the Most High giving a commandment for you to do something and you doing it because that's what you want to do, to take power over other nations or to reap their wealth. That's not the same as what we're doing in war today. When the first resurrection comes, we're going to be raised that are in that first resurrection. We're going to go out and subdue the whole earth. Okay? We're going to bring down all these false kingdoms, take down all these false worship and everything, and there's going to be a lot of bloodshed when that happens. But that's not going to happen until you're in the Spirit. And then you're going to be like God. You're going to be, or like Elohim, you're going to be doing as you're commanded. Here on earth, we're not commanded to do those things. Obviously, those things have to be fulfilled. Matthew 24 says there'll be wars and rumors of war right up to the end. But that doesn't mean that that's justified for the people of God or, to do those things. That's always done by the greed of man. If you check out most all wars and the history behind them, it's not for anything to really support God or the Most High in any way. Okay, verse 15. And again, the tetragrammaton, those 4 letters, commanded Moshe, his servant. That's Hebrew for Moses. Okay, his servant. So did Moses or Moshe command Yehshua. He did that before he went and died. And did Yehshua or Joshua, he did as Moses had commanded him before he went off and died. He left nothing undone for all that the Most High, again, I'm going to use that word interchangeable there, commanded Moshe or Moses. So Moses didn't command that out of his own sign. It was done because God told him to. And everything that Moses had commanded Joshua before he died, it said Joshua did that. Verse 16. So Yehshua took all that land, the hills and all the south country, and all the land of Goshen. Where the land of Goshen was. Children of Israel were occupying that land during the captivity in Egypt. Okay? So all the land of Goshen and the valley and the plain and the mountain of Israel and the valley of the same. Verse 17. Even from Mount Halak that goeth up to Seir unto Baal God, and then Gad. See the word Baal there? Okay, that's named after the sun god Baal. And Gad there is where they get the word God in English, where it comes from. Okay? So that's why you hear a lot of people saying they don't want to say the word God. They might hyphenate it or whatever, or say Elohim. It's because they know where the word came from. And this town was named after the sun god Baal. Okay, that's why it's Baal Gad. In the valley of Lebanon, under Mount Hermon, and all their kings he took. And he killed them or slew them with the sword. Again, smote them and slew them. Verse 18. And Joshua made a war a long time with all those kings. So it didn't happen overnight. It took a while. But he overtook all those kings and slayed them with the edge of the sword. 19. There was not a city that made peace with the Ben or the sons of Israel, save the Hittites, the inhabitants of Gibeon, all over they took into battle. So, and actually those guys tricked Joshua, into making a covenant with them, because they said they were far off and they really were right next door. But because they had Joshua had sworn to take care of them, he did do that. And in a way, and the Most High honored that. But that doesn't mean that still wasn't against the original commandment. He was just tricked into it, beguiled. Okay? So it's important to understand that's why the only one that wasn't completely destroyed was because there was an agreement made outside of what the Father had commanded. And that's one reason why Israel never attained 100% of the land that was promised to them before they came into the promised land. And hasn't until this day. Part of that's Iraq, which would have been Persia back in the 1,000 years ago. So that area never got fully under Israel. But when the we go into the millennium after the first resurrection, then Israel will inherit those lands as was promised to them all the way. That promise goes all the way back to Abraham. Those kind of things will be fulfilled. They haven't been because man's error, okay, not following the commandments. Because the problem that Yehshua had, even though the Most High honored the agreement, was he didn't seek counsel with the Most High before he made the agreement, if you understand that. So it was a sin of omission. Okay, there's a difference between a sin of commission and a sin of omission. He just didn't consult the Most High, which we should always do before we make any decision, especially something that He's commanded us on. Okay? Verse 19, I believe. Okay, verse 20. For it was the Most High, okay, it was of the Most High, okay, the Father, to harden their hearts. Just like He did Pharaoh's heart. You know, every time that, you know, he would go back and he would be ready to let Israel go, the Most High hardened his heart. Same thing going on here. It's part of the plan to bring out the prophecy in the book. Okay? That they should come against Israel in battle. Okay? So part of his plan was that they would come against Israel in battle. That he might destroy them utterly. He should have been capitalized there as the way they do it, because it's talking about the Most High destroying them utterly. And that they might have no favor. Okay? Or mercy would have been translated there. But that he might destroy them, and he there could be talking about Yehshua too. But he might destroy them as Yahuwah or Yahweh, the Tetragrammatron, commanded Moshe. And at that time came Yehshua and cut off the Anakims. Again, Anakims is plural. I am, just like Elohim has I am on the end in Hebrew, that's plural. So it's talking about the whole tribe of the Anakim. It says Anakims. Okay? Doesn't need the S on the end really in Hebrew, but in English it brings us to understand it's plural. From the mountains, from Hebron, from Debir, from Anab, and from all the mountains of Judah, or Yehudah in Hebrew, and from all the mountains of Israel, Joshua or Yahshua destroyed them utterly with their cities. There was none of the Anakim left in the land of the Ben, or the sons of Israel. Only in Gaza and Gath and in Ashdod there remained. So there wasn't any left, but yet in Gaza, which today they call it the Gaza Strip, they still referring to this patch of land in Gath. That's where it was. And in Ashdod, that's the other place where they remained. So Yehshua took the whole land according to all that Yahuwah at this point had commanded, said unto Moses, and Yehshua gave it for an inheritance unto Israel according to their divisions by their tribes, but the land rested from war. So then now we're coming into a time of peace, because they are going to go as far as they can go. Okay? Chapter 12. Now these are the kings of the land which the sons, again, of Israel smote, and possessed their land on the other side of Jordan, or Jordan, toward the rising of the sun, so to the east. Excuse me. From the river Arnon unto Mount Hermon, and all the plain on the east. Shion, I don't pronounce that right, king of the Amorites, who dwelt in Heshbon, and ruled them in Aor, which is upon the bank of the river Arnon, and from the middle of the river, and from half Gideon, even unto the river Jabbok, which is in the border of the Ben, or sons of Ammon. And from the plain to the sea of Chinneroth on the east, and unto the sea of the plain, even unto the Dead Sea. The Salt Sea is referring to the Dead Sea. On the east, the way to Beth Hashmoth, and from the south under Hashdoth, Pisgah, and the coast, and that's just talking about the border, not talking necessarily of a water coast, of Og, king of Bashan, which was of the remnant of the giants, that dwelled at Ashtaroth, which we know is another one of those gods. What they did was they elevated a king at one point to God status, and that's where the god Ashtaroth comes from. Okay? And at Edrei, and reigned in Mount Hermon, and in Salcha, and in Bashan, unto the border of the Gershurites, and the Matharites, and half Gilead, the border of Sihon, king of Heshbon. 6. Verse 6. Then did Moses, the servant of the Most High, the sons of Israel, the men of Israel, smite, and Moses, or Moshe, the servant of the Most High, gave it for a possession unto the Reubenites and the Gadites and the half tribe of Manasseh. So they stayed on the other side of the Jordan, but they made an agreement they would go ahead of the rest of the nation of Israel and fight for them before they returned to that land. So it's just referring to that again. 7, and these are the kings of the countries which Yehshua and the men of Israel, the sons of Israel, smote on this side of Jordan on the west, from Baal Gad in the valley of Lebanon, we still have that area, even unto the Mount Halak that goes up to Sur, which Yehshua gave unto the tribes of Israel for a possession for their own, according to their divisions, in the mountains, and in the valleys, and in the plains, and in the springs, and the wilderness, and in the south country, and the Hittites, the Amorites, and the Canaanites, the Perizzites, the Havites, and the Jebusites, the king of Jericho, one, the king of Ai, which is beside Bethel, 1, verse 10, the king of Jerusalem, 1, the king of Hebron, 1. So I'm talking about one individual segment. Verse 11, the kings of Yamath, 1. So the king of Yamath, 1. The king of Lachish, 1. The king of Eglon, 1. The king of Gezer, 1. The king of Deber, 1. The king of Geder, 1. The king of Hormah, 1. The king of Arad, 1. The king of Libnah, 1. The king of Adullam, 1. The king of Akedah, 1. The king of Bethel, 1. The king of Tappapu, probably pronounced that wrong, 1. The king of Epher, 1. The king of Aphek, 1. The king of Larshan, 1. The king of Madan, 1. The king of Hazar, 1. The king of Shimron Meron, 1. I know I mispronounced that one. 1. The king of Achshaph, 1. The king of Canach, 1. The king of Migdo, 1. The king of Kadesh, 1. The king of Yoknam of Carmel, 1. The king of Dor in the height of Dor, 1. The king of the nations, Gilgal, 1. And the king of Tirzah, 1. All the kings, 30 and 1. So we just add them all up here, telling you how many there was of each nation, which was 1, and the total was 31. Chapter 13. Now Joshua was old and stricken in years. A lot of times you think of him as young, but remember, this is the same guy that went up on the mountain to a certain point with Moses when he went up to get the commandments, from the Most High through his angel. When that happened, that Malach or messenger, when that happened, he was there. So, he's getting pretty old at this point, and the Most High said unto him, You are old and stricken in years, and there remaineth yet very much land to be possessed. So it hadn't all been taken over. This is the land that yet remaineth, all the borders of the Philistines and the Gershuri, from Sihar, which is before Egypt, even unto the borders of Ekron, northward, which is counted to the Canaanite. 5 lords, little L here, so that just means and they're using that from a Middle English because English had a system of lords. Okay, so it's talking about masters here, or people that were rulers of the Philistines, the Gezerites, the Ashdothites, the Echelonites, the Gittites, and the Ekronites, also the Avites. From the south, all the land of the Canaanites and Mira, that is beside the Sidonians, unto Aphek, to the borders of the Amorites, and the land of the Giblites, and all Lebanon toward the sun rising again to the east, from Baal God under Mount Hermon into entering into Hamath. All the inhabitants, this is all in red here, so this is thus saith the Most High. Okay? Verse 6, all the inhabitants of the hill country from Lebanon unto Misraphaim, again plural, I am, and all the Sidonians, them will I drive out from before the sons, the men of Israel. Only divide or allot the sons of Israel, only divide you it by lot unto the Israelites for an inheritance, as I have commanded you. Now therefore divide this land for an inheritance unto the 9 tribes, and also the half tribe of Manasseh, that split, with half staying on the east of the Jordan, and the other half coming in. 8. This is back, thus saith whoever wrote this book, whether it be Yehshua or whoever recorded it, with whom the Reubenites and the Gadites have received their inheritance, which Moses gave them beyond Jordan, before he passed, eastward, even as Moshe, or Moses, the servant of the Most High, gave them. 9. For Ar, that is upon the bank of the river Arnon, and the city that is in the midst of the river, and all the plain of Medeba unto Dibon, and all the cities of Shihon, king of the Amorites, which reigned in Heshbon, unto the border of the Ben, or the sons of Ammon, and Gilead, and the border of the Gershurites, and the Macharites, not pronounced Machathites, probably still pronounced wrong, and all Mount Hermon, and all Bashan unto Salcha, all the kingdom of Og in Bashan, which reigned in Ashtaroth and in Edrei, who remained of the remnant of the giants. That'd be the ones that they talked about before they went into the land, those ones that were giants. It's doing smoking. Excuse me. And all Mount Hermon were, nevertheless, all the kingdom of Og and Bashan, which reigned in Ashtaroth and Edrei, who remained of the remnant of the giants, for these did Moshe strike, smite, or kill, defeat, cast them out. Nevertheless, the sons of Israel expelled not the Gershurites, nor the Machathites, but the Girgashites and the Machathites dwell among the Israelites until this day. So they didn't do as they were commanded later on. Well, that's what they're telling you there. And that's why some of these lands never were conquered as well. Verse 14, only unto the tribe of Levi he gave none inheritance. And we know why, because that's the priesthood, and they had their inheritance was the Most High through the Ruach, the Holy Spirit. Okay? So those things, they are what they are. That's why they didn't get any inheritance. The sacrifices of Yehshua, that's part of their reward, or Yahweh, your Elohim of Israel, made by fire, are their inheritance, as he said unto them. So there's the explanation. 15, and Moshe gave unto the tribe of the sons of Reuben inheritance according to their families, and their coast from Aor, that is on the bank of the river Arnon, and the city that is in the midst of the river, and all the plain of Medeba, Heshbon, and all her cities that are in the plain, Dibon and Bamath Baal, in the word Baal there, and Beth Baal Me. So these are all places where they were worshiping other god, Baal being mostly the god, On, and Yahaza, and Kedemoth, and Methareth, and Kirjath Arim, and Sibma, and Zerith Shahar in the mount of the valley. Okay, the high part of the valley. And Beth Peor, and Ashdoth Pisgah, and Beth Uzimah, Yestemoth, and all the cities of the plain, and all the kingdom of Shihon, king of the Amorites, which reigned in Heshbon, whom Moshe smote with the princes of Midian, Evi, and Rechem, and Zer, and Hur, and Reba, which were dukes or princes. That would have been a better translation. Okay. That's my spot. Princes. Okay. 22. And Balaam, also the son of Beor, which we all know about who that is. They call him the soothsayer here. Did the Ben of Israel slay with the sword among them that were slain by them. And the border of the Ben of Reuben, or the sons of Reuben, was Jordan, and the border thereof, this was the inheritance of the sons of Reuben after their families, the cities and the villages thereof. And Moshe gave inheritance to the tribe of Gad, even the Ben of Gad, according to their families, and their coasts, and Yazer, and all the cities of Gilead, and half the land of the children of, or the Ben, or the sons of Ammon, unto Aor, that is before Reba, and from Heshbon unto Ramath, Mizpah, and Betanim, and from Menaim unto the border of Deber, and in the valley of Beth Aram, and Beth Rimrah, and Succoth. And Succoth is the same place where the children of Israel rested. Okay, and the word Succoth here is like tabernacles, okay, in Hebrew. And Zaphon, the rest of the kingdom of Shihon, and king of Heshbon, Jordan, and his border, even unto the edge of the sea of Chinnereth, on the other side, Jordan eastward. This is the inheritance of the sons of Gad after their families, the cities, and their villages. And Moshe gave inheritance unto half the tribe of Manasseh, hadn't already received their inheritance on the east side of Jordan. And this was the possession of half the tribe of the Ben of Manasseh, or sons of Manasseh, by their families, and their coasts, their borders, was from Mahanaim, all Bashan, all the kingdom of Og, king of Bashan, and all the towns of Jair, or Yair, which are in Bashan, 60 cities, or 60 cities. 31, and half Gilead, and Ashtaroth, and Edrei, cities of the kingdom of Og and Bashan, were pertaining unto, or were for the Ben of Machir, the son of Manasseh, even to the one half of the Ben of Machir by their families. That was one of the elders of that tribe at that time. These are the countries which Moses did distribute or appropriate for inheritance in the plains of Moab on the other side of Jordan by Jericho eastward. But unto the tribe of Levi, Moshe or Moses gave not any inheritance, because again, the Most High of Israel was their inheritance, as he said unto them. Okay, so they knew that. They got the sacrifices, they got a lot of different things Levi did at that time, because they were the priesthood. Chapter 14. And these are the countries which the sons of Israel inherited in the land of Canaan, which Eleazar the priest and Joshua the son of Nun and the heads of the fathers of the tribes of the sons of Israel distributed for inheritance to them. By lot was their inheritance, as the Most High commanded by the hand of Moses for the 9 tribes and for the half tribe. For Moses had given the inheritance of the 2 tribes and a half tribe on the other side of Jordan, as we had talked about a couple times here, but unto the Levites he gave none inheritance among them. For the sons of Joseph were 2 tribes, Manasseh and Ephraim. Therefore they gave no part unto the Levites in the hand, except cities to dwell in, which broke down. They got certain cities and they had their homes and their inheritance was there. And a lot of times, we'd already looked at that where in the Torah where they were talking about that if families got poor while they were in the land, they could sell their land. But it was only temporary. It went to whoever bought it, and it was only until the next Jubilee, or actually to the year of release, okay, and then obviously in the year of Jubilee, and they would get that land back, and they couldn't buy it back until that time came. But with the Levites, they could buy theirs back at any time they got money. They never lost those areas because they didn't get this other inheritance. You got to read that in the Torah, just bringing it to your remembrance. That's all. So, where was I?
You are 4.
4. Okay, I changed the page. In their suburbs, that's where we get the suburbs of the cities today, for their cattle and for their sustenance. That was land right outside the cities that they had. Verse 5, as the Most High commanded Moses, so the sons of Israel did, and they divided the land. Then the sons of Judah came unto Yehshua in Gilgal, and Caleb, the son of Jephunneh, a Kenizzite. This is brung up several different times, and this Kenizzite legacy, you got to go look it up, but it's not Israel, okay? Said unto them, but he's head over the tribe of Judah at this point anyway, said unto him, you knowest the thing that Yehshua, or Yahweh the Most High, said unto Moshe, the man of Elohim, or God, concerning me and you in Kadesh Barnea. So he's reminding what was said. 40 years old was I when Moses, the servant of the Most High, sent me from Kadesh Barnea to spy out the land. So this is referring back to when Joshua and Caleb went in to spy out the land. It says a spy in the King James. That's what it means. Out the land. And I brought him word again as it was in my heart. That just means the way he felt in his mind, okay? Not in the literal heart. Verse 8, nevertheless, my brethren, that went with me, made the heart of the people melt. Made them fear because said they were bigger than us, and we can't go in and possess it. We're like grasshoppers to them. Okay? But I fully, that word holy there means fully, followed the Most High, my Elohim. Verse 9, and Moses sware on that day, saying, surely the land wherein thy feet have trodden, where they went in to spy out the land, shall be your inheritance. So there was a vow, or a promise there. and your children or your sons, that should have been Ben there, your sons forever, because you have fully followed the Most High, my Elohim. So there was a vow. And now, behold, the Most High hath kept me alive, as he said, for these 45 years since that time, even since the Most High spake this word unto Moses, while the sons of Israel wandered in the wilderness. And now, lo, I am this day 85, or 85 years old. Verse 11, as yet I am as strong this day as I was in the day that Moses sent me. So he hadn't lost his virility. As my strength was then, even so is my strength now for war, both to go out and to come in. Now therefore, give me this mountain, whereof the Most High spake in that day. For you heard in that day how the Anakims were there, and that the cities were great and walled or fortified. If so be the Most High will be with me, then I shall be able to drive them out, as the Most High said. And Yehshua blessed him, and gave unto Caleb the son of Jephunneh Hebron for an inheritance. Okay, so he reminded of the oath, and he received, okay, well, as he was promised. Okay, this time they translated Ben from Hebrew to son like they should every time, but they don't. I'm not sure exactly what the motive is when they translate children non-gender specific, because the inheritance went through the men. And sometimes that gets hidden in the verbiage, and I'm not sure why. Okay, verse 13, Yehshua blessed him and gave unto Caleb the son of Jephunneh Hebron for an inheritance. Hebron therefore became an inheritance of Caleb the son of Jephunneh the Kenizzite unto this day, because that he fully followed the Most High of Israel. Okay, did what he was commanded to do. And the name of Hebron before Kirjatharba, which Arba was a great man among the Anakims, which were giants, and the land had rest from war. Chapter 15. Still got time for my hour here, so the more we cover, the sooner this book will be down. This then was the lot, or the allotment, or the inheritance of the tribe of the Ben, or sons of Judah, by their families, even unto the border of Edom, the wilderness of Zin, southward was the uttermost part of the south boundary coast. 2. And their south border was from the shore of the Dead Sea, or the Salt Sea, from the bay that looks toward the south. Looketh southward in King James. And it went out to the south side to Mel in Shakrab Bim. Again, that's plural, talking about the people, and passed along the side unto Kadesh Barnea, and passed along to Hezron, and went up to Adar, and brought a compass, or surrounded or circled, to Karkia. From there it passed toward Esmon, and went unto the river of Egypt, which would be the Nile, and the goings out of that coast, where the sea shall be your south border, or boundary line. 5. And the east border was the Dead Sea, even unto the end of Jordan, and all their border in the north quarter was from the bay of the sea at the uttermost part of Jordan. And the border went up to Beth Hogla, and passed along the north of Beth Bar, and the border went up to the marker, or the stone here in the King James, Bohan, the son of Reuben, and the border went up toward Deber from the valley of Achor, and so northward, looking toward Gilgal, that is before the going up to Adamim, which is on the south side of the river, and the border passed toward the waters of Enishmesh, and the goings out thereof were at Enrogel. So the farthest part of their thing is the goings out of, so it's their farthest border. And the border went up by the valley of the son of Hinnom unto the south side of the Jebusite. The same is Jerusalem. And at this valley of Hinnom that they're talking, the son of Hinnom's the same area that where they they would throw. Well, first of all, one of the kings of Israel later ends up throwing all the idols and everything in, and then setting them on fire of the nations. And when they do that, after they set all this on fire, after that they continue to throw their trash in there, garbage or whatever, and burn it. And later on, this is where you get the idea of they use an example of the lake of fire in the end, because it burns continually. Okay, because they continually burned in that area, the valley of Hinnom. And when you get up in the New Testament, my brain's not coagulating that the name of it that we see in Revelation. The valley of Hinnom is the same as, I'm trying to think of it, I can't, so I'll just let it go. I'll think of it later and I'll throw it in there. Hinnom westward, which is at the end of the valley of the giants northward. And the border was drawn from the top of the hill unto the fountain of the water of Nephtoah, and went out to the cities of Mount Ephron, and the border was drawn to Bela, which is Kirjath Jarim, and the border, or the boundary, circled around from Belaor westward unto Mount Seir, and passed along the side of the Mount Jearim, which is Keshalon, on the north side, and went down to Beth Shemesh, and passed on to Timnah. And the border went out unto the side of Ekron northward, and the border was drawn to Shikron, and passed along to Mount Bela, and went out unto Jebneel, and the goings out of the border were at the sea. And the west, so in other words, their end of their border was a coast, a literal coast that was to the sea, and they're talking about the Mediterranean there when they say the sea. 12. And the west border was to go to the, I'm sorry, that one wasn't. I don't remember which one that was. This next one is. I reiterate, I misspoke there. And the west border, the other side, to the great sea, which is the Mediterranean, and the coast thereof. This is the coast of the sons of Judah, or Yehudim, round about according to their families. And unto Caleb the son of Jephunneh he gave a part among the Ben, or the sons of Judah, but he also got an extra inheritance, according to the commandment of the Most High to Joshua, even the city of Arba, the father of Tanack, which city is in Hebron. And Caleb drove from there the three sons of Anak, which again were giants, Shishar, Shishaiah, and Ahiman, and Talamai, the Ben, or sons of Anak. He drove all those out. And he went up from there to the inhabitants of Debir, and the name of Debir was Kirjath Sepher. And Caleb said, he smiteth or kills Kirjath and takes it, that land, to him will I give Achaz, my daughter, to wife. So Caleb was going to get the daughter to wife. And Othniel, the son of Kenaz, the brother of Caleb, took it, and he gave him at Shasar his daughter to wife, as he had promised. Verse 18. And it came to pass, as she came unto him, that she moved him to ask of her father a field. So asked for her father to give this field, and she lighted off the donkey, or the ass. And Caleb said unto her, what wouldest you, or what do you want? Who answered, give me a blessing. For you has given me a south land, give me also springs of water. And he gave her the upper springs and the lower springs. Nether, in this case, means lower. 20. This is the inheritance of the tribe of the sons of Judah according to their families, and the uttermost cities of the tribe of the sons of Judah, or the Yehudim, toward the coast of Edom southward, were Kabzeel, an elder of Jager, and Kina, and Dimona, and Adidah, and Kadesh, and Hezron, and Ithnan, Ziph, and Telam, and Bealoth, and Hazar, and Hadattah, and Kiriath, and Hezron, which is Hazor, Ammon, and Shema, and Maladah, and Asdagadah, and Heshmon, and Beth Pelet, and Hazarasharu, I pronounced that terribly, and Bear Sheba, and Bez Harpah, and Bela, and Ayam, and Azam, and El Talad, and Chisai, and Hormah, and Ziklag, and Madmanah, and Sanasana, and Lebaoth, and Shehem, and An, and Rimnon. All the cities are 29 with their villages. So the total of all those that I mispronounced were 29. And in the valley of Eshtoel, and Zorah, and Ashna, and Zoniah, and Inganium, or Ignanim, Tatnah, and Enam, and Yarmouth, and Adullam, Socho, and Azizkah, and Sharaim, and Adiam, and Gedira, and Gideroth-aim, 14 cities with their villages. Zenan, and Hadash, and Migdalgad, and Delan, and Mizpah, and Joktheel, and Lachish, and Bozkath, and Eglon, and Kabon, and Lahman, and Kithlish, and Kedaroth, and Beth Dagon, and Naamah, and Makkedah, 16 cities with their villages. Lebnah, and Eth, and Ashan, and Jiphthah, and Ashnah, and Nezib, and Keilah, and Achizib, and Marisha, 9 cities with their villages. Ekron with her towns, her villages, from Ekron even unto the sea, all that lay near Ashdod with their villages, Ashdod with her towns and her villages, Gaza with her towns and her villages, unto the river of Egypt, and the great sea, again, which is the river of Egypt is the Nile, and the great sea is the Mediterranean, and the border thereof. And in the mountains of Shamar, and Jatar, and Socho, and Dana, and Kirjath Saniah, which is Deber, and Anab, and Eshtemoa, and Anim, and Goshen, and Holon, and Gilo, 11 cities with their villages, Arab, and Duma, and Eshian, 53, and Janum, and Beth Phua, and Aphekah, and Hamatah, and Kirjath Aba, which is Hebron, and Zior, 9 cities with their villages. Maon, Carmel, Ziph, and Jokta, and Jezreel, and Jokdeam, and Zonah, Cain, Gibeah, and Timnah, 10 cities with their villages. Halhul, Zur, I'll get that out, and Gedor, and Merath, and Methanath, and Eltekon, 6 cities with their villages. Kirjath Baal, which is Kirjath Jearim, and Leba, 2 cities with their villages. In the wilderness of Beth Araba, Medidim, Sekah, and Nibshan, and the city of Salt, and Engedi, 6 cities with their villages. As for the Jebusites, inhabitants of Jerusalem, the Ben of Judah, the sons of Judah, could not drive them out, but the Jebusites dwelled with the sons of Judah at Jerusalem until this day. We'll go ahead and stop it there, even though I got a little bit. We'll stop it right there. And may the Tetragrammaton, or the Most High, add his blessing to the reading of the Word.